Media fact-checker. Fuel price crisis in Australia due to Iran-Middle East war impacts. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Petrol prices in Australia reached an average of $2.38 per litre for regular unleaded in the week ending March 20th, up 27% since the war began on February 28th, according to the Australian Institute of Petroleum, AIP. Diesel prices in nearly every Australian capital city passed $3 per litre, with a 38 to 40% increase since the US-Israeli strikes on Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, reducing global oil trade by 20%. Consumer confidence in Australia dropped to 63.1 points, lowest since 1970s, in March, a 5.4-point fall due to soaring energy prices and cost of living concerns, per ANZ Roy Morgan data. The Strait of Hormuz closure disrupted 20% of global oil trade, leading to fuel shortages and price spikes globally, as reported by both ABC and Guardian. Small businesses like furniture removal services, Dennis Maddock, Canberra, and tour operators face increased fuel costs, with some reporting $200 weekly extra expenses due to diesel shortages. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Dennis Maddock, Canberra, cites no information from the federal government about price or supply shortage, while Guardian does not mention government communication in this context. ABC states diesel prices passed $3 a litre in nearly every capital city, but Guardian does not provide a city-by-city breakdown of diesel prices above $3. ABC highlights a 27% increase in petrol prices since February 28, while Guardian does not quantify the exact percentage rise but focuses on qualitative impacts like $200 weekly fuel costs. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Global political push to increase birth rates amid declining fertility trends. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Matt Canavan, newly elected Nationals leader, declared in 2024 his goal to create a hyper-Australia with more Australian babies and full maternity wards, citing traditional family values and abortion restrictions as priorities. Australia's fertility rate dropped to a record low of 1.48 babies per woman in 2024, below the replacement rate of 2.1. Peter Costello introduced Australia's baby bonus in 2004, offering a $3,000 payment per child, which increased births by 6.5% overall and 10% among low-income mothers. The 2020 Demography Summit in Australia included Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who warned Europe risks an exchange of populations if not populated by Europeans, advocating procreation not immigration. World Bank data shows Italy's fertility rate was 1.2 in 2023 and Hungary's was 1.39 in 2024, both below replacement levels despite conservative policies promoting larger families. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the Nationals report uses the term mass migration to describe immigration, while no such term is mentioned in Article 2. Article 1 details Canavan's Children Born Alive bill and its conflict with Peter Dutton, but Article 2 omits this entirely. Article 1 provides specific fertility rates for Norway, 1.4, Sweden, 1.4, and Denmark, 1.5, in 2023, while Article 2 does not reference Nordic data. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Man charged with murdering sex worker in Melbourne brothel. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Michael James Chalmers, 36, is accused of murdering a 62-year-old sex worker named Leah Jong, also referred to as Yuko by advocates, at the Rainbow Garden brothel in Footscray, Melbourne, on November 27, 2024. Chalmers was charged with murder in late 2024 after Jong's body was found inside the brothel on November 29, 2024. Chalmers was captured on CCTV entering the brothel and engaging in a violent confrontation with Jong, lasting approximately 31 minutes, before leaving her motionless in a bedroom. Magistrate Vincenzo Caltabiano dismissed charges of rape and constructive murder, unintentional killing during rape, but allowed the murder charge to proceed to trial. Chalmers formally pleaded not guilty to the murder charge and will face a Supreme Court trial with a directions hearing scheduled for April 16, 2025. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomer refers to the victim's moniker as Yuko, used by sex worker advocates, while ABC uses the name Leah Jong, officially provided by police. Newscomer states the alleged injuries to Jong's anus could have been caused by any of the dozen clients she saw in the week before her death, while ABC does not specify the exact number of clients but implies the injuries could have been from a previous client. Newscomer mentions the prosecution's medical examiner accepted a remote possibility of non-sexual causes for the injuries, but ABC does not explicitly state this level of certainty was acknowledged by the prosecution. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Donald Trump criticizes Australia and NATO allies over Iran war support. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump publicly criticized Australia for its response to US requests for military support in securing the Strait of Hormuz during the Iran conflict, calling Australia not great and expressing surprise at its refusal to assist. Australia offered defensive support to the UAE, including a surveillance aircraft and missiles, as part of its response to US requests, as confirmed by Australian Defence Minister Richard Marles and Environment Minister Murray Watt. Trump accused NATO allies, including the UK, of offering military support only after the war was over, specifically mentioning UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's offer of aircraft carriers as toys compared to US capabilities. Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz since US and Israel launched strikes on February 28, 2024, impacting Middle East fuel exports. Trump claimed Iran was begging to negotiate a 15-point ceasefire proposal presented by the US, while Iranian officials described the proposal as one-sided and unfair and denied active negotiations. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Trump claimed Iran offered 8 big boats of oil as a gesture, but Iran has not confirmed this and The Guardian does not mention it. The Guardian states Trump called the Iran conflict Little League, while ABC does not include this framing. ABC reports Trump threatened to keep blowing them away if Iran did not negotiate, but The Guardian does not quote this exact language. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Former AFL player Nick Stevens convicted of fraud in pool installation scheme. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nick Stevens was found guilty on 12 counts of obtaining a financial advantage by deception and 1 charge of using a false document in the County Court of Victoria on April 2024. Stevens was acquitted on 1 charge of obtaining a financial advantage by deception relating to the first victim's part payment. 6 families in Mildura, Victoria, were defrauded out of a total of $170,000 to $171,000 for pools they never received or had illegally installed. Stevens, a former Carlton and Port Adelaide AFL player, played 231 matches between 1998 and 2009 and later worked as a landscaping business owner and leisure pools distributor. Judge Fiona Todd remanded Stevens in custody until his plea hearing on May 21, 2024, rejecting bail extensions argued by his defense barrister Jim Stavris. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Stevens had previously coached SNFL club Glenelg, but Newscomer does not mention this detail. ABC states Stevens' defense argued he tried to fix the issues for victims, while Newscomer focuses on his claim of ongoing permit arrangements with McDonnell as proof of good intent. Newscomer describes Stevens as showing little reaction to the verdicts, but ABC does not include this observation. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. First NFL regular season game in Australia at MCG between Rams and 49ers. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The first NFL regular season game in Australia will be played at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG, on Friday, September 11, 2024, with kickoff at 10:35 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The matchup features the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. General access tickets will be available on Ticketmaster starting April 8, 2024, at 10 a.m., with standing room tickets priced at $95 and general seating at $140. The NFL opened its Australian office in 2022 and established the NFLAC Academy on the Gold Coast. The game is expected to inject tens of millions of dollars into the Victorian economy. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the game was initially expected to be played in October but was moved to September 11th, while ABC does not mention an original October date. News Kamau mentions 150,000 fans on the waitlist, but ABC does not provide any information about ticket waitlists or pre-sales. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Stephen Colbert to co-write a new Lord of the Rings film titled Shadow of the Past. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Stephen Colbert is co-writing a new Lord of the Rings movie titled Shadow of the Past with his son Peter McGee and Philippe Arboyans. The film is set 14 years after the events of The Lord of the Rings trilogy and follows Sam, Merry, and Pippin retracing early steps of their journey. Sam's daughter Eleanor discovers a secret explaining why the War of the Ring nearly failed before it began. Peter Jackson announced Colbert's involvement in a video released on social media on April 2024. Colbert's The Late Show on CBS aired its final episode on May 21, 2024, after cancellation in July 2023. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the film's working title is Lord of the Rings, Shadow of the Past press release, while Guardian 1 implies the title is still tentative or unconfirmed. Guardian 1 suggests the film may focus on Tom Bombadil or Farmer Maggot's mushrooms as central mysteries, while Guardian 2 and ABC emphasize Eleanor's discovery of a plot-critical secret. Guardian 1 questions whether the film is a legitimate project or an April Fool's joke, a claim not addressed by ABC or Guardian 2. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's National Film and Sound Archives 2026 Sounds of Australia collection highlights. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jack Colson's 1991 arrest speech. Gentlemen, this is democracy manifest. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal was added to the NFSA's Sounds of Australia collection in 2026. The NFSA's Sounds of Australia collection includes 9 audio recordings added in 2026, including Jack Colson's speech, the PB5 pedestrian crossing button sound, and Missy Higgins's 2004 hit Scar. The collection was launched in 2007 and is designed to reflect life in Australia through culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant sounds. The NFSA selects recordings that are more than 10 years old, based on public nominations and expert panel votes. The Sounds of Australia collection now contains over 200 recordings after the 2026 edition. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian does not mention the NFSA Assistant Curator Hannah de Fater or her specific comments about the variety of recorded sound in Australia's history, which ABC includes. The Guardian does not mention the NFSA's description of the Sounds of Australia collection as a fantastic rabbit hole you can go down, which ABC includes. The Guardian does not mention the NFSA's specific statement that the collection includes the 2015 Australian of the Year speech by Rosie Batty, which ABC includes. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US allows Russian oil tanker to deliver crude to Cuba amid blockade. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Russian oil tanker Anatoly Kolodkin is carrying approximately 650,000 to 730,000 barrels of oil, 650,000 per Guardian, 730,000 per ABC, and is en route to Cuba's Matanzas port. The vessel is sanctioned by the US, EU, and UK due to Russia's involvement in the Ukraine war. Cuba has faced a US-imposed oil blockade, leading to severe shortages of gasoline and electricity, with blackouts and rationing reported since at least 3 months, Guardian, or years, ABC. US President Donald Trump stated he has no problem with the Russian tanker delivering oil to Cuba, emphasizing humanitarian concerns over geopolitical implications. The Anatoly Kolodkin was last tracked near Cuba's eastern tip per ABC, confirmed by Marine Traffic LSEG per Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the tanker carries 730,000 barrels of oil, enough for 9 to 10 days of diesel, while The Guardian reports 650,000 barrels of crude with no explicit diesel conversion figure. ABC claims the blockade has crippled Cuba 4 years, while The Guardian focuses on a 3-month oil import gap without mentioning long-term duration. The Guardian mentions the US lifted sanctions on Russia to improve oil flow after strikes on Iran, a detail absent from ABC's coverage. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Arrest and charges in Sydney grandfather's mistaken identity kidnapping and murder case. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Declan James Donnelly, 23, was arrested on March 6 at a Seven Hills home and charged with murder and kidnapping of Chris Bagsarian, an 85-year-old grandfather mistakenly abducted from North Ryde on February 13. Bagsarian's body was found near a golf course in Pitt Town, Sydney's northwest, on February 24, 11 days after his abduction. Donnelly was found wearing only his underwear during his arrest, and an sawn-off shotgun, ammunition, and prohibited drugs, heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, cannabis, were allegedly found at the Seven Hills property. Gerard Andrews, 29, and Daniel Stevens, 24, were charged in February with Bagsarian's kidnapping and murder, and remain in custody without entering pleas. Janice Thurston, 23, Donnelly's girlfriend, was arrested alongside him for an apprehended violence order breach and sentenced to 10 months imprisonment, non-parole period of 6 months, on March 6. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states Donnelly allegedly murdered Bagsarian between February 13 morning and 9 p.m. on February 14, while SMH does not specify a time frame for the murder but implies it occurred shortly after the kidnappers realized they had the wrong man. News Kamau lists Donnelly's charges as including take detain in company with intent to ransom occasion actual bodily harm, while SMH does not mention this exact phrasing and focuses on kidnapping and murder charges. SMH claims Donnelly was contracted to kidnap another person, Dmitry Stepanyan's father, but mistakenly abducted Bagsarian, while News Kamau does not mention a specific intended target beyond mistaken identity. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Arrests and investigation into alleged Sydney kidnapping and murder of Chris Bagsarian. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Chris Bagsarian, an 85-year-old grandfather, was allegedly kidnapped from his North Ryde home on the 13th of February in a case of mistaken identity. Bagsarian's body was found near a golf club in Pitt Town on the 24th of February, 11 days after his abduction. 2 men, Gerard Andrews, 29, and Daniel Stevens, 24, were charged in February with murder and kidnapping with intent to ransom or cause grievous bodily harm. A man and woman, both aged 23, were arrested on the 21st of March during a search warrant execution at a Seven Hills address. The man arrested was allegedly present at Bagsarian's North Ryde home during the abduction and transported him to a Dural property. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the intended target was a relative of Dmitry Stepanyan, but ABC does not specify this detail. News Kamau states the man arrested was charged with fail to comply Digital Evidence Access Order Direction, while ABC and Guardian do not mention this charge. News Kamau reports the man was arrested in nothing but his underwear, a detail not mentioned in The Guardian or ABC. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Australia's 2026 daylight saving end date and its regional impact. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Daylight saving ends on Sunday, April 5, 2026, in NSW, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, the ACT, and Norfolk Island. Clocks turn back 1 hour at 3 a.m. local time to 2 a.m., granting an extra hour of sleep to residents in participating regions. Queensland, Western Australia, the Northern Territory, Christmas Island, and the Cocos, Keeling, Islands do not observe daylight saving. Daylight saving in Australia begins again on Sunday, October 4, 2026, in participating states. The end of daylight saving occurs on the first Sunday of April annually. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states daylight saving ends on Easter Sunday 2026, April 5, but News Kamau does not explicitly mention Easter as a factor. News Kamau mentions a 15% drop in public transport trips, while ABC only reports a 13% drop in nighttime spending without transport data. Guardian's headline asks if clocks go back or forward in April but does not clarify the direction in the body text, unlike News Kamau and ABC. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Rockhampton's Fitzroy River confirmed as sole 2032 Olympic rowing venue amid technical assessments. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Rockhampton's Fitzroy River has been selected as the sole venue for Olympic rowing at the 2032 Games, with no alternative sites in contention according to Deputy Premier Jared Bleegey and the Games Independent Infrastructure and Coordination Authority, GICA. World Rowing and the International Canoeing Federation, ICF, have endorsed the next phase of technical assessments for the Fitzroy River, with an independent evaluation underway to assess river flow, water levels, wind operational requirements, and field of play options. The preferred field of play for the Fitzroy River venue includes a full 2 km competition course with a southern finish line downstream toward the Fitzroy Barrage, as stated by Deputy Premier Jared Bleegey and confirmed by ABC's reporting. The total budget for Olympic venues and legacy infrastructure is $7.1 billion, as mentioned by both sources. The Brisbane Stadium site at Victoria Park has been confirmed for the Ave end of the stadium with an east-west orientation, comparable in scale to the MCG, and fencing and early works will begin by June 1, 2024, per Deputy Premier Jared Bleegey. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the Brisbane Arena contract will be awarded by the end of this year with construction starting in 2027, while ABC does not specify a timeline for contract award beyond the end of 2024. News Kamau explicitly denies reports about temporary upgrades to the Fitzroy River venue, stating it will be permanent, but ABC does not address this directly or confirm the permanent status beyond the consensus facts. News Kamau mentions the Fitzroy River venue will not require dramatic driven changes, while ABC highlights concerns about the river's natural bends, current, flooding risks, and crocodiles without clarifying if these will necessitate significant modifications. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker: Man accused of alleged terrorist bomb attack at WA Invasion Day rally pleads mental health defence. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Liam Alexander Hall, 32, is accused of allegedly throwing a homemade fragment bomb filled with ball bearings and screws into a crowd of about 2,500 people at an Invasion Day rally in Perth CBD on January 26, 2026. The device did not detonate, causing no injuries but prompting widespread evacuations and outrage, particularly among Indigenous Australians. Hall faces charges of engaging in a terrorist act, making or possessing explosives under suspicious circumstances, and doing an act likely to endanger life or safety. Hall's lawyer, Simon Freitag, plans to seek a Section 27 insanity defense, requiring a psychiatric report before entering a plea in late May. Hall is currently detained at the Franklin Centre Psychiatric Facility in Perth's western suburbs. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and news.com.au mention ball bearings in the bomb's contents, but The Guardian specifies nails instead. ABC states Hall's next hearing is in late May, while news.com.au specifies May 26 and The Guardian mentions May, unspecified date. ABC and news.com.au attribute the nationalist racially motivated attack allegation to WA Police Commissioner Colbert, but news.com.au attributes it to AFP Commissioner Christy Barrett. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Donald Trump criticizes Australia's Iran war support. Albanese denies lack of contribution and pushes for de-escalation. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump publicly criticized Australia in a White House cabinet meeting, calling it not great for not assisting in the Iran conflict, specifically mentioning Australia's role in securing the Strait of Hormuz, THEJ, SMH. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese responded that Australia was not consulted before the US initiated military action in Iran and denied any unmet requests, stating there is no request being made to Australia that has not been agreed to, THEJ, SMH, ABC. Australia provided advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles to the United Arab Emirates at its request, which Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles confirmed as the only US request Australia fulfilled, THEJ, SMH. Trump extended Iran's deadline to April 6, 2026, pausing energy infrastructure strikes for 10 days, claiming talks are going very well, ABC, THEJ. Brent crude oil prices rose nearly 6% to $108 per barrel on Thursday, and US petrol prices were poised to exceed $4 per gallon, THEJ, SMH. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Environment Minister Murray Watt refused to comment on Trump's remarks, while THEJ and SMH do not mention this specific response from Watt. THEJ and SMH state Trump called Australia not great in a White House cabinet meeting, but ABC does not specify the exact location or context of Trump's criticism. THEJ and SMH report Trump extended Iran's deadline to April 6, 2026, but ABC does not explicitly state the exact date in its headline or text. This story was covered by ABC News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Japanese bulk carrier Iron Maiden escapes Iran's Strait of Hormuz blockade en route to Australia amid Middle East fuel crisis. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Japanese-owned bulk carrier Iron Maiden escaped Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz on March 5, 2024, after sailing through at night with its transponder broadcasting China owner. Iron Maiden was moored in Dubai's Jebel Ali commercial port, UAE, when the conflict erupted on February 28, 2024, following US-Israel airstrikes on Iran. The ship cut off its AIS tracking signal while passing through the Strait of Hormuz and reactivated it after exiting the Persian Gulf. Iron Maiden is expected to arrive in Western Australia, Kwinana Port, on March 21, 2024, without cargo. Traffic through the Strait of Hormuz slowed significantly due to fears of Iranian attacks on vessels, with insurance premiums spiking. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the Iron Maiden is off Geraldton's coast, while ABC confirms it is heading to Kwinana Port, WA, and stopped in Singapore. News Kamau does not mention the ship's exact speed or route through the strait, whereas ABC details 22 km/h speed and southern lane navigation. ABC reports the National Cabinet meeting was called for March 20, Monday, but News Kamau does not specify the date beyond Monday. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's Matildas facing low-ranked teams in April 2024 despite World Cup prep needs. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Matildas will play in a FIFA Series 2026 friendly tournament in Nairobi, Kenya, starting April 2024. Australia's next matches are against Malawi, FIFA rank 153, followed by either India, 67, or Kenya, 134. The Matildas lost 1-0 to Japan in the 2024 Asian Cup final on March 24, 2024. Football Australia's Executive Director Heather Garriock stated the team's options were limited in the April window due to other nations qualifying for major tournaments. FIFA announced the Matildas' participation in the Nairobi series on March 26, 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Football Australia's focus is on playing top 15 opponents, while The Guardian implies the team's options were limited due to scheduling conflicts rather than a deliberate strategy. The Guardian suggests the April window is a calamity and wasting resources, while ABC frames it as a necessary preparation step despite limited options. ABC mentions Malawi's top strikers, Chawinga sisters, as a worthwhile challenge, but The Guardian does not highlight this aspect of the matchup. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Meta ordered to pay $375 million in New Mexico child exploitation case. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A New Mexico jury found Meta liable for violating New Mexico's consumer protection law in a case alleging misleading claims about child safety on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. $375 million, $538 million including penalties, was awarded to New Mexico as civil penalties under the state's Unfair Practices Act. The trial lasted 6 weeks, ABC, and nearly 7 weeks, Guardian, with jury deliberation taking less than a day. New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres accused Meta of enabling child sexual exploitation and prioritizing profits over child safety. Meta plans to appeal the verdict and stated it works to keep users safe despite challenges in identifying harmful content. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the trial lasted 6 weeks, while The Guardian reports it lasted nearly 7 weeks. ABC does not mention The Guardian's 2023 investigation being cited in the complaint, though The Guardian explicitly states it was. ABC does not mention Meta's executives, Zuckerberg and Mosseri, testifying about the inevitability of harm due to platform scale, which The Guardian reports. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US State Department directs embassies to counter foreign propaganda using Elon Musk's X platform and military psychological ops. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US State Department issued a cable signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio on March 29 directing all American embassies and consulates worldwide to launch coordinated campaigns against foreign propaganda. The cable endorses Elon Musk's X, formerly Twitter, and its community notes feature as an innovative and crowdsourced tool to counter disinformation without compromising free speech or privacy. The directive instructs embassies to work alongside the U.S. military's Psychological Operations Unit, MISO, formerly PSYOP, to address disinformation. The cable highlights Iran, Russia, and China as state actors conducting sophisticated disinformation campaigns targeting U.S. allies in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. The US is at war with Iran, which has operated one of the world's most sophisticated state disinformation apparatuses for decades. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the 2 Guardian articles provided. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. UK nurse Lucy Letby's 2015 to 2016 murder convictions and ongoing miscarriage of justice claims. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Lucy Letby was convicted in 2016 of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 7 more while working as a neonatal nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital, Cheshire, in 2015 to 2016. She was sentenced to 15 whole-life prison orders, and the Court of Appeal refused her permission to appeal in 2023. Dr. Shu Lee, a Canadian neonatologist, led a panel of 14 experts who concluded in 2023 there was no evidence of murders or deliberate harm in the deaths of the babies. Letby's lawyer, Mark MacDonald, submitted an application to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, CCRC, in 2023 to revisit her case, supported by reports from 27 experts. The CCRC is currently reviewing the CCRC application regarding Letby's case. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Cheshire Constabulary strongly refutes all the points made during the adjournment debate by David Davis, while Article 2 reports Davis's claims as egregious failures and not following official guidance or best professional practice without direct rebuttal from the police in that article. Article 1 quotes Cheshire Constabulary calling critics spreading misinformation, while Article 2 does not include this framing and instead focuses on Davis's detailed criticisms of police procedures. Article 1 mentions Cheshire Constabulary's statement about a core group of individuals spreading misinformation, but Article 2 does not reference this specific group or their alleged actions. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Fair Work Commission abolishes junior pay rates for 18 to 20-year-olds in Australia. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Fair Work Commission scrapped discounted pay rates for young adult workers aged 18 to 20 in retail, fast food, and pharmacy sectors. Around 500,000 workers will be affected by the wage increase, including those at Coles, Woolworths, McDonald's, and Hungry Jack's. Junior pay rates previously paid 18-year-olds 70% of the adult rate, 19-year-olds 80%, and 20-year-olds 90% of the award rate. The changes will be phased in over 4 years, with the first wage adjustments starting in December 2024. Junior rates will remain in place for workers under 18. But not all outlets told the same story. SBS does not mention the specific percentage rates, 70%, 80%, 90%, for 18-, 19-, and 20-year-olds, while Guardian and ABC do. No contradictions in core facts. All sources agree on the timeline, affected sectors, and worker count. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. 13-year-old girl charged in Melbourne's anti-Semitic hate crime and car theft spree. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 13-year-old girl from Melbourne's Bayside area was charged with 52 offences including reckless conduct endangering serious injury, multiple thefts, and threatening physical harm based on a protected attribute, anti-Semitism. The girl allegedly drove a stolen black Hyundai sedan in Hampton, Ruponlia, and Caulfield between 25 to 28 March, shouting anti-Semitic remarks and throwing eggs at pedestrians. On the 28th of March, the stolen Hyundai allegedly swerved toward Jewish families crossing Hotham Street and Glen Eira Road in Ruponlia around 7 p.m, narrowly missing them. The Hyundai was stolen from a gym in Caulfield on the 25th of March. A 45-year-old Brighton man was injured in a hit-and-run involving a stolen silver SUV on the 26th of March, where the passenger door was allegedly used to target a cyclist on St Kilda Street. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the 13-year-old was charged with threatening physical harm or property damage on ground of a protected attribute, anti-Semitism, while ABC does not mention this specific charge by name. The Guardian specifies the stolen Hyundai was allegedly stolen from a gym in Caulfield, using allegedly, but ABC omits this qualifier. The Guardian notes the e-scooter victims did not require medical attention and a passerby filmed the Volkswagen before a threat was made. ABC does not mention the threat or the passerby's role. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's diplomatic and economic response to Iran's attacks on Gulf states and fuel crisis impact. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia condemned Iran's indiscriminate attacks on Gulf states, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Jordan at a UN urgent debate, citing civilian casualties and infrastructure targeting. Australia's UN ambassador Claire Walsh read a statement condemning Iran's actions and calling for attacks to cease immediately, co-sponsoring a Gulf-led resolution. Iran's attacks include targeting civilians, civilian infrastructure, and oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global oil supply. A fifth of world oil passes through the strait. Australia has deployed a military reconnaissance plane, dozens of defense personnel, and missiles to the UAE at its request, with the UAE hosting Australia's Middle East military headquarters. Australia's fuel crisis has caused hundreds of service stations to run dry of one or more fuel types since the Iran conflict escalated. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian does not mention US or Iran's actions in the UN statement, while Newscom Australia highlights Iran's response to joint US-Israeli strikes as a trigger for attacks. The Guardian attributes the fuel crisis primarily to distribution and supply issues without mentioning foreign refinery reliance, while Newscom Australia explicitly raises concerns about Australia's dependence on foreign refineries. The Guardian quotes Senator Mackenzie criticising the government's lack of a plan and comparing it to South Korea's emergency measures, but Newscom Australia does not reference this domestic political critique. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Sydney 16-year-old charged with terrorism offences after online threats and extremist material discovery. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 16-year-old boy was arrested in December 2023 by the NSW Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, JCTT, after reports of violent threats posted online. Police searched the boy's home in Sydney's Inner West and allegedly found a gel blaster and a flick knife during the raid. The boy was initially charged with possessing an unauthorized pistol and a prohibited weapons offences, in December 2023. The boy was bailed on the weapons charges on the 19th of December, 2023 and appeared in court. On Tuesday, the boy was charged with 5 terrorism offences, including 1 count of collecting documents likely to facilitate a terrorist act and 2 counts of making such documents. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the boy was charged with 5 terrorism offences, but Newscom only lists 4 specific counts: 1 count of collecting, 2 counts of making documents, and 2 counts of possession of violent extremist material. The Guardian states the boy was charged with possessing an unauthorized pistol, while Newscom only mentions a gel blaster and a flick knife during the search, no mention of a pistol. The Guardian refers to the AFP as the source of the extremist ideology claim, while Newscom attributes it to police without specifying AFP. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian housing market slowdown due to interest rate hikes and economic uncertainty. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. National auction clearance rate fell to 57% last week, the lowest this year, Guardian, SMH. Sydney's auction clearance rate was 55% last week, Guardian, below the 60% balanced market threshold, The Age, SMH. Melbourne's auction clearance rate dropped to 59% last weekend, The Age, also below 60%, SMH. The typical mortgage rate rose to about 6% from 5.5% at the start of 2026, Guardian. The number of first home buyers in the market fell by a quarter from early February to early March, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Sydney's auction clearance rate at 55% last week, while SMH does not specify Sydney's rate but implies it was below 60%. The Guardian states the national clearance rate was just under 57%, while SMH does not provide a national figure but focuses on capital cities. The Age mentions Melbourne's clearance rate at 59% last weekend, while SMH's Article 3 does not specify Melbourne's exact rate but confirms it was below 60%. This story was covered by The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Liberal MP Andrew Hastie's shift toward supporting a 25% gas export tax and sovereign wealth fund proposals. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Andrew Hastie, Liberal MP and Shadow Minister for Industry and Sovereign Capability, stated he is open to a 25% tax on gas profits as part of a Scandinavian-style sovereign wealth fund proposal. The Albanese government's treasury is reportedly modelling the effects of a flat 25% tax on gas profits, alongside potential changes to the Petroleum Resource Rent Tax, PRRT, and corporate income tax. Norway's sovereign wealth fund holds assets worth over $3.2 trillion, $2.2 trillion US. Gas giants have signalled they will oppose any new tax, with the Australian energy producers warning a new export levy would come at the worst possible time for Australia's economy and energy security. The Iran regime is blocking the Strait of Hormuz, contributing to the global energy crisis. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Andrew Hastie's comments on Trump's overconfidence in Iran attacks, while Newscom Australia does not mention this. The Guardian quotes Shadow Treasurer Tim Wilson's opposition to new taxes, but Newscom Australia does not include this quote. The Guardian includes Fatih Birol's warning about investor concerns, but Newscom Australia omits this detail. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Victoria police shoot fugitive Desi Freeman after 7-month manhunt for police killings. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Desi Freeman, aka Desmond Philby, 56, was shot dead by police at a property in Tholegolong, Victoria's northeast, on Monday, August 12, 2024, at approximately 8:30 a.m. Freeman is accused of fatally shooting Detective Leading Senior Constable Neil Thompson, 59, and Senior Constable Vadim de Wart-Hottet, 34, on August 26, 2025, at a property in Pawpunka, Victoria, while executing a search warrant for historical sexual offences. A third officer was seriously injured during the August 26 shootings at Pawpunka. Freeman fled into bushland near Mount Buffalo National Park after the shootings and evaded capture for 216 days, 7 months. Victoria Police offered a $1 million reward for information leading to Freeman's arrest, the largest reward in Victorian history for facilitating an arrest, not conviction. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC both report Freeman was found in a converted shipping container, but The Guardian describes it as a cross between a shipping container and a caravan, while ABC and others describe it as a shipping container with a caravan nearby. News.com.au suggests a Filipino couple may have harbored Freeman, but this claim is not mentioned or confirmed in any other source. The Guardian and ABC both report Freeman was given opportunities to surrender peacefully, but The Guardian notes police had been at the property for 24 hours prior to the confrontation, while ABC does not specify this duration. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Tropical cyclone Narelle devastates Western Australia's Pilbara and Gascoyne regions in March 2026. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tropical cyclone Narelle formed in the Coral Sea off Queensland on March 17, 2026, and made landfall in 3 states' territories, Queensland, Northern Territory, Western Australia, over 20 years apart. Narelle made landfall in Western Australia as a Category 4 system near Exmouth on March 27, 2026, with sustained winds of 185 to 200 km per hour and gusts up to 260 to 275 km per hour. Exmouth, a tourist town 1,250 kilometers north of Perth, suffered extensive damage including obliterated airport infrastructure, roof damage, marina flooding, and power water outages. Cyclone Narelle caused significant flooding in the Lyons and Gascoyne River catchments, with Exmouth receiving over 300 millimeters of rain at Learmonth Airport. Chevron's Gorgon and Wheatstone LNG facilities experienced production outages due to Cyclone Narelle, with one train at Gorgon and full operations at Wheatstone suspended. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 1, states Cyclone Narelle weakened to a Category 3 system northeast of Kalbarri and Jailton, while ABC, Article 3, reports it was downgraded to a Category 3 system only after making landfall near Shark Bay. The Guardian, Article 1, mentions Narelle weakened to a tropical low on Saturday morning after landfall, but ABC, Article 25, states it was downgraded to a tropical low on Saturday morning while still inland east of Jailton. The Guardian, Article 1, reports Narelle made landfall near Exmouth as a Category 4 system, while ABC, Article 26, states it was a Category 4 system near Exmouth but weakened to Category 3 by the time it made landfall between Coral Bay and Cape Covier. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia warns Israel against occupying southern Lebanon amid escalating conflict with Hezbollah. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Penny Wong spoke with Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar on Tuesday night to oppose Israel's potential occupation of southern Lebanon, stating Australia does not want to see occupation of southern Lebanon by Israel. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz announced plans to create a security zone between the Israeli border, Blue Line, and the Litani River, up to 30 kilometers north of Israel's border. Over 1,000 Lebanese civilians have died since Israel's bombardment began, including over 100 children and 40 medics, according to Lebanon's health ministry. More than 1 million Lebanese civilians have been displaced due to the conflict in Lebanon. Australia has urged Australians in Lebanon, estimated 15,000, to leave now, with over 8,000 already returning from the Middle East since the war began. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Australia estimates 15,000 Australians reside in Lebanon, while Newscomau does not mention this specific number. ABC states Lebanon's health ministry reported 1,000 deaths including over 120 children and 40 medics, while Newscomau reports over 100 children but does not specify 40 medics. The Guardian mentions Australia's mission in Ramallah has been closed for over 7 months, while Newscomau does not provide this exact duration. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Dietary factors and genetic influences on dementia and brain health prevention. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Mind Diet, Mediterranean diet intervention for neurodegenerative delay, is linked to lower dementia and Alzheimer's risk, with strong adherence associated with a 19% reduced odds of developing mild cognitive impairment or dementia, ANSTI 2019, UNSW study. People adhering most strongly to the Mind Diet retained up to 20% more grey matter over 12 years, corresponding to a 2.5-year delay in brain aging, observational brain scan study. The Lancet Commission's 2024 updated list of 14 modifiable dementia risk factors includes high LDL cholesterol, 7% influence, and untreated vision loss, 2%, with other factors like hearing loss, 7%, depression, 3%, and low social contact, 5%. The Mind Diet emphasizes leafy greens, nuts, berries, olive oil, poultry, fish, whole grains, and limits red meat, butter, cheese, fried foods, and sweets. The APOE4 gene variant, present in about 25% of people, increases dementia risk, with some studies showing unprocessed meat may benefit cognitive decline in carriers, though processed meats remain harmful. But not all outlets told the same story. The SMH Examine and ABC both report the Framingham study's findings on Mind Diet benefits, But the ABC notes that whole grains showed weak results in that study, while the SMH Examine does not mention this contradiction. The SMH Examine states the mined diet's benefits are so strong that some experts want it added to the Lancet Commission's risk factors, but the ABC does not explicitly endorse this claim and focuses on observational study limitations. The SMH Examine and ABC both cite the Framingham study's findings, but the ABC emphasizes the study's limitations, e.g., self-reported diet data, confounding lifestyle factors, more prominently than the SMH Examine. This story was covered by ABC News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia investigates Meta, TikTok, Google for under 16 social media ban violations. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube are under investigation by Australia's e-Safety Commissioner for potential non-compliance with the under 16 social media ban, announced on or before February 2025. The ban, effective December 10, 2024, prohibits users under 16 from holding accounts on the listed platforms, with fines of up to $49.5 million Australian dollars for systemic failures. Over 4.7 million accounts were deactivated or restricted in the first 2 days after the ban took effect, according to data from the Australian government. The e-Safety Commissioner's compliance report, released February 2025, found that platforms allowed underage users to repeatedly attempt age verification until they passed, and failed to prevent banned users from creating new accounts. Anika Wells, Australia's Communications Minister, stated that platforms must obey Australian laws if they operate in the country, and warned of severe penalties for systemic failures. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the ban was introduced on December 10, 2024, while The Guardian and News Corp Australia imply the ban was introduced in December 2025, likely a typo in The Guardian's article. The Guardian reports that 70% of under 16 users maintained access on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, but ABC does not provide this specific percentage breakdown. ABC mentions that the e-Safety Commissioner's report will be released on Tuesday, while The Guardian and News Corp Australia do not specify an exact date but imply it is imminent. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Nicolas Maduro's federal court appearance in New York for narco-terrorism charges and legal funding disputes. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores are scheduled to appear in a Manhattan federal court on Thursday, the 14th of March, 2019, for a narco-terrorism case. Maduro and Flores were captured by U.S. Special Forces in Caracas on the 3rd of January, 2021 during a pre-dawn raid that reportedly killed 100 people. Maduro and Flores pleaded not guilty during their 5th of January arraignment in New York. Maduro and Flores are being held in a detention center in Brooklyn, New York, and neither has requested bail. The U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, initially granted Maduro a waiver on the 9th of January, 2021 to allow Venezuela's government to fund his legal fees, then reversed it 3 hours later. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 1, states OFAC reversed course on the waiver 3 hours after granting it, while OFAC later claimed it was an administrative error and not an intentional reversal. The Guardian, Article 3, describes Maduro as seemingly upbeat at the hearing's end, while ABC does not mention his emotional state or demeanor during the appearance. The Guardian, Article 1, reports Maduro's lawyers filed court papers on the 26th of February stating they cannot represent him without Venezuelan funding, but ABC does not mention this specific filing date or legal threat. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Northern Territory flooding and recovery from ex-tropical cyclone Narelle in March 2024. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Ex-tropical cyclone Narelle caused severe flooding in the Northern Territory, particularly in Catherine and surrounding areas, in early March 2024. The Catherine River peaked at 19.2 meters in early March, marking Catherine's worst flooding in nearly 28 years, almost 3 decades. The BOM reported the Catherine River was just above the 17.5-meter major flood level on Thursday morning, March 7, after peaking earlier in the month. The river level at Catherine Bridge was at 16 meters, minor flood level, on March 7, with forecasts indicating it would exceed the moderate flood level, 16.5 m, by early Wednesday morning, March 6. Daly River now EU experienced prolonged major flooding, with water levels expected to remain above major flood levels for the remainder of March. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the Catherine River peaked just above 17.5 meters on Thursday morning, March 7, after peaking earlier in the month, while Article 2 states the peak occurred earlier in the month at 19.2 meters and the river was still rising at Catherine Bridge on March 6. Article 1 reports the river was a few centimeters below the 17.5-meter major flood level on Thursday morning, March 7, while Article 2 states the river was expected to exceed the moderate flood level, 16.5 m, early Wednesday morning, March 6, and could again reach major flood levels. Article 1 claims flood-affected residents from Murray Downs and nearly 200 Numbulwar evacuees were returning home this week, March 7, while Article 2 does not mention Murray Downs specifically and focuses on ongoing evacuations in Daly River and Beswick. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Lachlan Kennedy defeats Gout in 200m race at Moree Plant Meet, marking back-to-back wins. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Lachlan Kennedy won the 200-meter at the Moree Plant Meet on the 9th of March, 2025 with a time of 20.38 s, beating Gout who finished in 20.43 s. The race took place at Lakeside Stadium, Albert Park, Melbourne, with around 9,000 to 10,000 spectators in attendance. Kennedy also won the 100-meter earlier in the evening with a time of 10.03 s, setting a meet record. Gout is 18 years old, as of December 2024, and Kennedy is 22 years old. Gout reached the 200m semifinals at the 2024 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian says Gout wore an earring and 2 glimmering chains to his press conference, while no other source mentions this detail. The Guardian states Gout's Queensland State Championships time was 20.42 s with a strong headwind, but no other source confirms this specific time or condition. The Guardian claims Gout said he started well but didn't hit top gear in his recent race, while other sources do not mention this specific performance detail. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US Senate and House funding standoff over DHS, excluding ICE funding. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US Senate passed a funding package for DHS on March 29, 2025, excluding ICE and part of CBP, reported in Articles 1 and 3. The Senate approved the funding package by a voice vote in a rare overnight session, Articles 1 and 3. TSA staff have worked without pay since mid-February 2025 due to the funding lapse, Articles 1, 2, and 3. Donald Trump ordered DHS to pay TSA agents immediately via executive action on March 28, 2025, Articles 1 and 3. The House of Representatives must still act on the Senate's funding package before agencies can reopen, Articles 1, 2, and 3. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Trump said he would pay 50,000 airport security workers via executive action before the Senate deal, but Articles 2 and 3 do not mention this specific number or timing. Article 2 claims the Senate deal was dead on arrival in the House, while Article 3 does not explicitly state the House's final stance on the Senate deal before the House vote. Article 1 mentions Trump's threat to put ICE agents in airports until Democrats agree to a DHS budget, but Article 2 does not reference this specific threat. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. TGA proposes sunscreen regulation reforms amid SPF testing controversies. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The TGA proposed sweeping reforms to Australian sunscreen regulations in response to SPF testing failures, including changes to testing methods, lab oversight, and labeling. Choice tested 20 popular SPF 50 and SPF 50+ sunscreens in June 2023 and found 16 did not meet their advertised SPF claims, with results ranging from SPF 4 to SPF 43 instead of SPF 50+. Over 20 sunscreen products have been recalled or paused from sale since Choice's testing, according to the TGA and Choice. Australia has the highest rates of skin cancer and melanoma globally, with around 2,000 deaths annually, per TGA statements in all three articles. The TGA's proposed reforms include strengthening oversight of SPF testing laboratories and adopting new testing technologies faster. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, ABC, states Professor Lawler would not elaborate on imminent recalls or regulatory action, while Article 2, News.com.au, implies the TGA is actively reviewing Choice's findings and will take regulatory action as required without specifying timing. Article 1, ABC, mentions the TGA's draft proposals include the option to maintain current SPF standards, but Article 2, News.com.au, does not explicitly mention this option, focusing instead on overhauling SPF testing and labeling. Article 3, ABC, highlights Choice's support for expanded testing and transparency but does not mention Choice's specific opposition to the word-based SPF rating system as clearly as Article 1, ABC. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. AFL introduces stricter illicit drug policy with mandatory hair testing and harm reduction measures. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The AFL's new illicit drugs policy, IDP, is described as the most stringent in Australian sport by AFL Chief Executive Andrew Dillon, ABC, Guardian. All AFL and AFLW players will be hair tested for drugs twice a year under the new policy, ABC, Guardian. The policy replaces the previous 3 strikes model, ABC, Guardian. Players who test positive 3 or more times will be reviewed by a newly formed joint IDP committee, ABC. The AFL Players Association Chief Executive James Gallagher supports the revised policy, stating it protects player welfare and gives players access to support, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the policy ditches the oft-criticised current 3 strikes model, while The Guardian notes the policy is the first revision since 2016 without explicitly calling the old model criticised or ditched. The Guardian implies the AFL expects more positive tests due to hair testing, while ABC frames the policy as a deterrent without explicitly predicting an increase in detections. ABC mentions a suspension range of 2 to 4 matches for public use of illicit drugs, but The Guardian does not specify any suspension details beyond the general framework. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis.